Friends, before we begin tonight's journey, let me tell you something. If you listen to this story for just 4 or 5 minutes, you will feel your eyes slowly growing heavier. This story will help you drift gently towards sleep. And if you find these stories comforting and peaceful, then please subscribe and leave a like so that more stories can find their way to you in the nights to come. Now, let us begin. You awaken in the soft gray glow of dawn, lying on a reed mat placed near the riverbank. The Nile, wide and calm, stretches before you like a mirror reflecting the pale light of morning. A light mist clings to the surface of the water, blurring the horizon, as if the river itself wants to remain half asleep. You can hear the distant sound of birds, ibis and herons calling out as they rise into the sky. The air is cool, carrying the faint smell of wet earth and mud, fresh after the night's rest. Slowly, you rise to your feet and brush the dust from your linen cloth. Around you, others are stirring too. Men wrapped in simple white garments stand and stretch, preparing themselves for the long day ahead. Some kneel beside the river, splashing water over their faces, their hands cupping the coolness as if the Nile itself could give them strength. The river is not only a lifeline for Egypt, it is the clock, the calendar, and the pulse of the land. Every morning it greets its people, and they, in turn, greet it with gratitude. As you walk closer to the riverside, you see groups of workers already gathering. They carry small bundles of food wrapped in cloth, flat bread, onions, and dried fish. A few share water jugs, passing them from hand to hand. A low hum of voices drifts across the air, a mixture of laughter, greetings, and quiet words of encouragement. The day has not yet turned hot, but everyone knows it soon will. By noon, the desert sun will blaze down, but for now, there is a sense of peace, a moment of calm before the labor begins. You notice a man sharpening a copper chisel on a stone. The rhythmic scrape, scrape, scrape echoes faintly, steady and careful. Another worker tests a wooden sledge, checking the ropes tied firmly along its edges. They will need these sledges to move heavy blocks later in the day, even though the tools are simple. Wood, rope, copper, stone. They carry with them a quiet power, the knowledge that entire temples and tombs rise because of such ordinary things. The foreman, a tall man with a reed staff, walks among the workers. He speaks in a firm but calm voice, organizing the groups into teams. Some will quarry stone, others will haul, others will shape and polish. Each task is essential, and each person knows their role. You can see respect in the way the workers listen to him. This is not just labor, it is a shared purpose. To build is to serve the gods, to honor the pharaoh, and to leave behind something greater than one's own life. The sun begins to lift, casting the first golden light over the water. The mist breaks apart, and the river gleams. A soft wind passes through, rustling the reeds at the water's edge. You take in the sight. Barges tied along the shore, some made of thick planks of imported cedar, others of simple local wood. Soon, these boats will carry supplies, food, and perhaps even stone itself down the river's current. The Nile is the great highway of Egypt, moving silently where roads do not exist. You walk with the workers along the dirt path that leads away from the riverbank. The ground is cool beneath your feet, though the sand already glitters with the promise of heat. The landscape stretches out wide and flat, dotted here and there with palm trees and the faint green of cultivated fields. Beyond the fertile edge, you can see the desert rising, endless and golden, where only silence lives. It is at this borderland, between river and desert, that the builders will leave their mark. As you draw closer to the quarry site, you hear new sounds. The steady beat of stone against stone, the grunt of effort as men lift and strike, the rhythmic chant of voices, keeping time as they work together. You see them gathered around a great face of limestone, their bodies bent with focus. Some strike with dolerite, pounders, hard black stones that shatter the softer limestone with repeated blows. Others drive copper chisels into cracks, loosening blocks that will later be shaped. Dust rises into the air, catching the sunlight like a faint golden haze. The foreman lifts his reed staff and calls for a pause. The men rest, leaning on their tools, wiping sweat from their brows. Some sit on the ground, breathing heavily, while others laugh quietly, sharing a joke or a memory. You sit among them, feeling the rough earth beneath your hands. For a moment, all is still. Then, with a signal, the work begins again, as if the earth itself is slowly persuaded to release its treasures. Nearby, you notice a group of younger workers preparing ropes. They weave fibers together, strong and tight, their fingers moving with practiced skill. The ropes are thick and coarse, made to bear great weight. A sledge waits beside them, its wooden runners smooth from use. Soon, blocks will be laid upon it, and dozens of men will drag it across the sand. It seems impossible. These stones are massive, heavy beyond imagination, but you know that with water, ropes, and teamwork, the impossible becomes possible. The morning stretches on. The sun climbs higher, its heat settling over the land. But the workers continue, steady and patient. Every movement has rhythm. Every sound fits into a larger harmony. You find yourself drawn into this rhythm as well, your own breath falling into step with theirs, your thoughts slowing, softening, like the beat of a drum fading into the distance. As the first block is freed and placed onto the sledge, the men gather around. They grip the ropes, their muscles tense, their voices calling out in unison. Slowly, the sledge begins to move. The sound of wood against sand, the groan of ropes pulled tight, fills the air. Step by step, the block is dragged forward, inch by inch, guided toward its destination. You watch with quiet awe. This is how monuments rise. Not with magic, not with secrets, but with hands, sweat, patience, and the simplest of tools. You feel the truth of it settling into you, calm and steady, like the Nile flowing eternally beside its people. The day is only beginning. The sun has not yet reached its peak, but already you sense the greatness of what lies ahead. As you walk alongside the workers, listening to the rhythm of their chants and the scrape of tools against stone, you feel time itself slow down, as if inviting you to rest within it. And so you breathe deeply, the air warm against your skin, your body relaxing with every step. The Nile glimmers behind you, the quarry opens before you, and the day unfolds like a gentle wave. You allow your eyes to close for a moment, listening to the sounds, letting them carry you deeper into calm. The morning has grown brighter now, and the pale gold of dawn has deepened into a warmer light. The Nile still glimmers in the distance, but your steps carry you farther inland, toward the quarry where stone waits to be shaped into monuments. You can feel the air warming around you, a soft promise of the heat to come. Yet for now, the world feels calm, steady, and unhurried. As you approach the quarry, the sounds become clearer. The thud of stone against stone, the metallic ring of copper chisels striking, the grunts of men who work with patient strength. Dust rises from the earth in soft clouds, drifting upward and catching the sun so that it sparkles faintly, as if the desert itself were glowing. The smell of crushed limestone lingers in the air, dry and chalky, mixing with the scent of sweat and sand. You stop to watch a team of workers. They stand before a great wall of limestone, its pale face streaked with shadows from the early sun. In their hands they hold dolerite pounders, round, black stones heavier than they appear. Each man lifts his pounder high and brings it down with steady rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. The blows ring out like a slow drumbeat, echoing across the quarry. Chips of stone scatter, cracks spread, and slowly the surface begins to break away. It is not quick work. It is not easy work, but there is a kind of dignity in the persistence. Each strike of the dolerite is a conversation with the earth, a way of persuading it to release the stone that lies within. The workers lean into their rhythm, their bodies swaying in time, their voices humming quiet chants that rise and fall with each blow. You feel the sound travel into your chest, calming, grounding, like a heartbeat. A little distance away, another team works with copper chisels and wooden mallets. They carve into the cracks that the dolerite pounders have opened, driving the chisels deeper, widening the gaps. You hear the sharper sound of metal striking stone. Tink, 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 punctuating the deeper thuds of the pounders. Each tool is simple, yet each serves its purpose perfectly. The copper edge, though soft compared to modern steel, is enough to bite into the limestone when wielded with skill. When the edge dulls, it will be sharpened again, over and over, a quiet cycle that has gone on for generations. Nearby, you see another kind of stone, granite, darker, harder, far more stubborn than limestone. Here, the work is even slower. Dolerite pounders are the only answer, for no chisel can easily cut into granite. The men raise the heavy balls of black stone and strike, again and again, until shallow depressions form. Slowly, with weeks of effort, the surface is broken and blocks can be loosened. The patience it requires is almost beyond imagination. Yet the workers do not complain. For them, time flows differently. Each day is simply another step in a long, eternal rhythm, like the Nile's flood and retreat, like the rising and setting of the sun. As you sit upon a low rock, watching them, you begin to notice the small details. A young boy brings a jug of water, setting it down where the men can drink. A worker pauses to dip a cloth into the jug, pressing it against his neck to cool himself. Another kneels, sharpening a chisel carefully, his hands steady, his eyes focused. The air buzzes faintly with flies, yet the workers seem unbothered, too deep in their labor to notice. You run your fingers along a fragment of limestone lying on the ground. It is rough on one side, smooth on the other where the chisel struck cleanly. You imagine how many thousands of such fragments have fallen here, little echoes of larger stones that will one day become walls, pillars, and tombs. These fragments are forgotten, but the great blocks endure, carried away to shape the history of a civilization. The foreman moves among the teams, his reed staff tapping lightly against the ground. He does not shout. He speaks in calm tones, pointing, guiding, adjusting. The men respond without hesitation. Each knows his task, and each trusts the others. This is not just work. It is order, harmony, ma'at, the balance that the Egyptians believe sustains the world. As the morning deepens, a cry rises. A block is ready to be freed. You walk closer, watching as wedges are placed into the widened cracks. Wooden wedges are hammered in, their ends dipped in water. Slowly, the wood swells, and with a deep groan, the stone begins to shift. Dust falls, a line of shadow deepens, and then, with a sharp crack, the block comes free. The men cheer softly, smiling, wiping their brows. Another stone has been won from the earth. The block is not yet smooth, not yet perfect. It will be trimmed, shaped, and polished later. For now, it lies heavy and solid on the ground, a promise of what it will become. Perhaps it will form part of a temple wall, carved with images of gods and pharaohs. Perhaps it will lie deep within a tomb, guarding the resting place of a king. Perhaps it will never be seen again, hidden in the foundation of a pyramid. Whatever its fate, it begins here, in the dust and sweat of the quarry. You watch as ropes are tied around the block, thick and strong, tested with quick tugs. A sledge is brought forward, its wooden runners smooth and worn. With careful effort, the block is levered onto the sledge, inch by inch, guided by poles and lifted with wedges. The workers move with practiced ease, their motions flowing together like parts of a single body. Finally, the block rests upon the sledge, waiting to be dragged toward its next destination. The sun has climbed higher now, and the heat presses more heavily upon the land. Yet still the workers labor, steady as ever. Their voices rise again in chant, carrying across the quarry. The sound is low and soothing, like waves against the shore, like the endless breath of the desert wind. You feel yourself swaying slightly as you listen, your body relaxing, your mind softening, lulled by the rhythm. The quarry stretches wide, dotted with men, tools, dust, and stone. To an outsider, it may seem chaotic, noisy, tiring. But as you sit quietly, watching, you begin to feel the order within it, the calm persistence. Every strike of the pounder, every tap of the chisel, every creak of the rope is part of a greater pattern, a pattern that will, in time, raise monuments so vast they seem eternal. You close your eyes for a moment, breathing in the warm, dusty air, the sound of stone, the chants, the slow rhythm of labor fills your mind, and in that rhythm you find peace. The quarry lies behind you now, and as you walk with the workers toward the worksite, you begin to notice how simple objects, things that seem ordinary, even fragile, carry the weight of Egypt's greatest ambitions. It is not just the stone itself that builds temples and tombs, but the ropes that bind it, the reeds that cushion it, and the wood that supports its journey. Without these quiet helpers, no monument would ever rise. You pause for a moment, at the edge of a shaded area where workers sit cross-legged on the ground. Their hands move quickly, twisting, braiding, knotting. They are rope makers. Their bundles of dried papyrus and palm fibers spread around them like golden straw. With practiced skill, they roll the fibers between their palms, tightening them into long strands. Several strands are twisted together, thickened, and knotted until they become ropes strong enough to pull a stone block across the desert. The ropes look rough, coarse against the skin, but their strength is undeniable. You watch as one man loops a freshly made rope around his arm, tugging hard. The fibers strain but do not break. Another man coils the rope neatly, stacking it beside dozens of others. A pile of coiled ropes looks almost like sleeping snakes, silent but ready to serve when needed. Beyond the rope makers, you see others working with reeds cut from the banks of the Nile. The reeds, long and hollow, are woven into mats. The mats are simple, flexible sheets, but they will line sledges, soften the path beneath stones, and even serve as padding beneath workers' knees as they toil. You run your fingers along one mat. It feels smooth, almost polished from handling. The reeds give off a faint, sweet smell of the river, as though carrying a piece of the Nile with them wherever they go. Nearby, carpenters shape wood with copper adzes. The wood creaks beneath their tools as shavings curl away, falling softly to the ground. The carpenters' faces are calm, their movements steady. They smooth the runners of sledges until they shine, reducing every rough edge that might catch against the sand. Others carve wedges, poles, and levers, each piece cut to precise size. Though wood is not abundant in Egypt, every bit of it is treasured, and every piece has a role to play. One carpenter lifts a lever he has finished, a long, polished pole. He tests it against a block of stone, pressing down on one end, watching the block shift slightly with surprising ease. The principle is simple, yet profound. A lever multiplies strength, turning the impossible into the possible. You can see the quiet satisfaction in his eyes as he sets the tool aside, ready for use. You walk among the workers, feeling the textures around you, the rough rope fibers against your fingers, the smooth reeds of the mat, the polished surface of the wooden sledge. None of these things look grand on their own. They are humble, everyday materials. And yet, you realize, they are the true secret of the builders. Without rope, no stone could be tied. Without mats, no weight could be cushioned. Without wood, no block could be lifted or dragged. A group of men gather to prepare a sledge. They lay reed mats along its base, arranging them carefully. Then they tie thick ropes around the sides, testing the knots with sharp pulls. The sledge creaks but holds firm. Soon it will bear the burden of a heavy stone block. Yet in this moment it seems almost delicate, like a cradle waiting to carry a giant. The sun climbs higher, and you can hear the faint buzzing of insects around the reeds. The air grows warmer, but the workers move with patience, unhurried. They know that each rope, each mat, each lever must be strong and ready before the true labor begins. Their work may not seem as dramatic as striking stone in the quarry, yet without them, the quarry's efforts would mean nothing. You sit beneath the shade of a palm tree and close your eyes for a moment. The sounds drift around you. The scraping of an adze against wood, the twisting of fibers, the low murmur of voices as men discuss their craft. The breeze carries the smell of river reeds, mingled with the faint resin of wood. It is a soft, grounding atmosphere, and you feel your body grow lighter as you listen. When you open your eyes again, you see a demonstration taking place. A team of men wraps ropes around a stone block resting nearby. They tie knots, secure loops, and fasten the block tightly to the sledge. Another group slips reed mats beneath the runners, smoothing the way. At a signal, the men pull. The ropes tighten. Their feet dig into the sand, and slowly the sledge begins to move. You can hear the creak of wood, the rasp of rope, the hiss of sand beneath the runners. It is astonishing to watch. So much weight, yet moved with such simple means. The ropes strain, the men grunt, but step by step, the block glides forward. The mats reduce the drag, the sledge supports the load, and the ropes keep it all bound together. You realize that these tools, though humble, are nothing less than the lifeblood of construction. One of the workers wipes sweat from his brow, grinning as he looks back at the path they have made. He pats the rope as if thanking it, then tosses the coil aside for reuse. The others laugh softly, their voices carrying warmth and camaraderie. There is joy even in this labor, a pride in knowing that their small contributions add up to something eternal. You watch the block come to rest at the edge of the work site, ready for the next stage of its journey. The men gather the ropes, roll up the mats, and place the sledge aside. They will repeat this process again and again, day after day, until walls rise, columns stand, and great halls stretch toward the sky. The sun is now strong above, and the shade feels thinner, yet the rhythm of the work remains steady. Rope, reed, wood, twist, weave, carve, tie, pull, lift. The pattern repeats endlessly, like the heartbeat of the land itself. As you listen to it, you feel your own heartbeat slow to match. The roughness of rope, the softness of reed, the smoothness of wood, all blur together in your mind, blending into a single soothing presence. You let your thoughts drift, carried by the rhythm, until all you hear is the quiet chant of labor, steady, eternal, and calm.